Please remember that the complete information for the class that you are about to view is at elithecomputerguy.com. Not only do we have our videos there, but we have part lists, diagrams, pictures, and even complete code examples. So if you are watching this video and you want more information, please go to elithecomputerguy.com. Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli, the Computer Guy, and in today's class, I'm going to be teaching you about classes within CSS. Basically, what classes allow you to do is it allows you to format different types of HTML text in a similar fashion. So one of the important things is whenever you're going to be creating an HTML document, whether it's for a web application or for a website, a lot of times you want your text to look similar based off of whatever topic you're talking about. So let's say I was going to build a website for Eli the Computer Guy. Now all of the text that pertains to me, pertains possibly to the company and to the brand, let's say I want all of that text to look similar. I want that text to have the same font. I want that text to have the same color. Maybe I want that text to have some other similar attributes. So whether I'm using the H1 tag, the H6 tag, or the P tag, regardless of what tag I'm using, I want the color to be the same, I want the font to be the same, so on and so forth. Or imagine, again, with a website, let's say at different places I reference legalistic terms, so things like terms of service. So whenever I talk about terms of service or anything legal, let's say I want that text to look similar. So when somebody is basically scanning through your HTML document, it's very easy for them to say, oh, okay, this looks like branding text, whether it's H1 or whether it's P, and oh, this looks like legal text, again, whether it's H1 or whether it's P. Well, what you're able to do is within CSS, you're able to create classes. And basically what you do with these classes is you say this class, for this class, this is how I want the text to be formatted. Anything with this class will have this color, will have this font, will be underlined, bolded, whatever else. And so basically what you can then do is as you're writing out your HTML code, when you use a tag, so now when you use a tag, instead of simply using an H1 tag or a P tag or whatever else, you can do an H1 tag class equals and basically put the name to whatever class you created. And now what that means is that text that you will write out in HTML that will then inherit all of the formatting that comes from that class. And so again, you can go through and when you're writing that HTML document, anything that has to do with your brand, it will be in your color of your choosing, in a specific font, that type of thing. Anything that has to do with legal stuff, that will be an entirely different font. Again, this is one of those things that you can do for user experience to make it easier for your users to be able to use your website and understand what's going on. So with that, let's go over to the computer and I can show you how classes work within CSS. So here we are at my demonstration system. Again, I'm using a MacBook Pro, and to write this out, I'm using TextEdit. Again, with CSS and HTML, you can use a simple ASCII text editor. So if you're in Windows, you can use Notepad. If you're in Mac, you can use TextEdit. If you're in Linux, you can use gedit, Nano, Vim, whatever you want. I'm simply doing this to make life easier. So I've created two files here. One is class.html. So this is the actual file that we will open and view. This is the HTML document. And then I have created a style sheet, class style.css, and that's the style sheet back here. Again, as I've talked about before with these style sheets, you can have multiple different style sheets in a website. You can name them more or less whatever you want as long as it ends with .css. So for me, as I'm doing these different projects, I will name the style sheets different things just so we know the difference between the different style sheets. So here, basically, this is what we have. So the first thing that we have for this is, again, under class.html. So the HTML document has to end with either .htm or .html. We're going to open the HTML. We are going to open the head, and then we are going to link to the style sheet. So as I talked about before in a previous class, all you do here is you have this tag link, relation is style sheet, href equals, and then this is the location of the style sheet that we're pointing at. So since this style sheet is in the same folder as the document that we're opening, I can simply put the name of the style sheet there. If this was in a different folder, then you have to put the full path to get there, as we've talked about before. Then we have the little / thing here, and then we close this, and then we close the head. So with that, let's go over and actually take a look at the style sheet first before we go into the basic HTML coding down here. If we go over and we take a look at the style sheet, this is all I have for the style sheet. Again, this is class style.css. And so the first thing I've done is I've created a class called cool stuff. Again, you can basically more or less name this whatever the hell you want. The important thing is it has to begin with a period. So classes begin with a period, and then you name it what you want to name. So this is going to be cool stuff. Past that, the syntax is basically the same syntax we've been using for other things within CSS. So we're going to say the color, colon, is going to be orange. So the color, the property, is going to have a value of orange. We are going to delimit, of course, remember that, semicolon. Text decoration, so basically text decoration is just a property. You can add underline, you can add different things, colon, and we are going to make this an underline. So anything with the cool stuff class will be orange and it will be underlined. Again, whether it's a P or an H1 or an H6, then you then close the squiggly brackets. Then we're going to have a serious class. This is a serious class, boys and girls. So again, think about this, maybe legal stuff or terms of service. Again, things that you want people to take seriously. Again, we start this with a period. So period is for class. You give it whatever name you want. Then you open the squiggly brackets. For this, we're going to do font style. So basically, this is just simply what style of font you want for this particular class, and we're just going to make it italic, right? So basically, anything that is supposed to be serious will be in italics, right? Again, you can put many different properties and values here. I just put these couple just to make life easier. Then we're going to go over and we're actually going to take a look at the HTML document itself. From here, we're going to go down. We're going to open up the body like you normally do with an HTML document. Then we're just basically going to step through and show you what these different classes look like. So the first thing we have is a normal H1 tag, completely normal H1 tag. Whatever the default for the web browser is, that is what we're going to get. This is simply going to print out. This is basic H1. Then what we're going to do is we're going to have an H1 tag. We're going to add the class. So class equals, double quotation marks, cool stuff. So this is now going to have the attributes of the class of cool stuff. So this is a cool H1 tag. So basically with this H1 tag, it'll not only be H1 with size and all that, but then it will also be orange and it will be underlined. Then under that, we have H1 class equals serious. This is a serious H1 tag. Again, we're going to look here, and basically this is going to be an H1 tag, only now it's going to be italicized. Then you're going to go down. We're going to basically do the same thing for the P tag, just so you get, again, you get the idea of what's going on. We have a basic P tag, and then we're going to have the P tag with a class of cool stuff. So this is going to be a rocking P tag. Then we're going to have another P tag class of serious, and this is going to be a serious P tag. So this is going to be orange and underlined, and this one is going to be italicized. Then the final thing we have down here is I'm just simply going to add an H3 tag, and this is going to have two classes associated with it. So you can have multiple classes associated when you're typing out your text, and all you do is you simply put a space in between. So again, this is an important thing to be thinking about whenever you're doing coding. Again, what is the delimiters? What are the separators? That type of thing. If I'm putting inline CSS code, so for different properties and values, you put semicolons between those. When you're doing multiple classes, all you have to have is a space. So basically we do class equals, we open the double quotation mark, we then say what classes we want attributed to this. So we want serious, space, and then cool stuff, and then we're going to close the quotation marks, close this, and this is going to be, this is a multiple class on an H3. We are then going to, we're going to close the body, we are going to close the HTML, and then we are going to have our file. See, again, that's an important thing. Always make sure you remember all your tags and all that kind of stuff. So then we're going to go over here. We have the class.html. I'm going to double click on it. And now this is going to open up, and you're going to get the idea of what's going on here. So again, if we take a look, we have this in the background. Anyways. So basically what we have here is this is basic H1. So again, this is that H1 without any classes. So this is a cool H1 tag. That's what we have here. That has the cool stuff. So this is H1 with orange and underlined. Then we have the H1. The class is serious. So you'll notice here, all it is italicized, right? Then you go down to the P tags. Here's a bland P tag. Then you have the P tag with cool stuff. So this is now orange and underlined for the P tag. Then you have the P tag with a serious, and that is italicized. Finally, we have the H3 tag. So you take the attributes of the H3 tag, you add what you have for serious, you add what you have for cool stuff, and so you now have an H3 tag that is orange, that is underlined, and is italicized. So again, this is a way, again, visually, so when people look at your website, it gives more coherence to your website. Again, okay, when I see something that looks like this, then this website is talking about a particular subject. When I see something that looks like this, then that means the website is talking about a different subject. And so using these types of classes, this is a way you can give a far better user experience to your end users when they're taking a look at your website. So now you know how to do classes in CSS. Woo! Yeah, I know. It's like a lot of this coding stuff. Oh, wait a minute. What do you mean? When you break everything down to its simple component, it's relatively easy and straightforward? Yes. Again, in the technology world, you take all these little components, add them together, and then you get a sophisticated project. But again, it's all built from very small, simple components. One of the things that I will say with using classes in CSS is I would argue you should not try to do this by the seat of your pants. One of the big problems for new coders is new coders have the idea that they are going to design and code at the same time. So basically they're going to write out their website, and as they're writing out the actual website itself, then they're going to be going and tweaking CSS and doing all that type of thing. This is where doing things such as building a prototype will make your life a hell of a lot easier. So if you're going to be building a website, what I would argue is use a basic piece of software, whether it's Word, basically any kind of word processor, or maybe some kind of image software, things like Photoshop or Illustrator, things like that. Basically, with those types of products, you can sit there and you can design out how you want your website to look and basically get that pretty close to how you want the finished product to look. And then all you do is you go to the CSS and HTML and everything else. And again, it's simply paint by numbers. Okay, I've decided this block should look this way. Okay, so to make this block look this way, I need to do this class, and I need to do this, and I need to do this, and then you write the code. Okay, this block needs to look this way, write the code. Okay, these two blocks need to look similar. Okay, these two blocks need to look similar, then, oh, that's where I'll use a class. Right? I think that's one of the big problems a lot of coders have, especially when they're new, is they have this idea is I am going to be coding and designing at the same time. And this is basically two different projects. It's two different things. Designing should be designing, and then actually building the code should be its own separate process. So this is one of those times to start thinking about, okay, think about starting prototyping your website. Again, whether you're using a word processing software, whether you're using something like Photoshop or GIMP or some open source alternative, or whether you simply have a pad and paper and you simply draw everything out. Do make sure to do that first. Do make sure to do that kind of wireframing first. And then when you have that, then you can go and again write the CSS, write the classes, write all of these things, and life will be a lot simpler for you. So that was a basic class on classes in CSS. As always, I enjoyed teaching this and look forward to seeing you at the next one. If you like the content that I create, please think about going to elithecomputerguy.com and becoming a member or donating. Please understand that all of the educational videos are in front of the paywall. That includes the videos, that includes the notes, the diagrams, and the code example. All of that is freely available and in front of the paywall. But if you want to watch opinion videos or if you want to be able to comment, you do need to become a member. Membership is $5 a month or $60 a year and gives you access to those those opinion videos and the ability to comment. If you don't want to become a member, you just want to give a one-time donation, there's also a donate button where you can do that. Please understand, in order to provide the education that I am, it does cost money. Servers cost money, equipment costs money, travel costs money. All of these things cost a reasonable amount of money, and the fact of the matter is YouTube's advertising program no longer supports creators the way that it used to. So if you want these classes to continue to stick around and you find them to be valuable, please think about either becoming a monthly member or donating a few dollars for this project.